Hello. This is a little bit of an additional video for my theory class. Basically, what I thought I'd do for this example here is I thought I'd show you some examples as to how you could spice up, if you will. I hope you can see this. I hope you can see that well enough. I'm sort of learning as I go here. Just hang on a second. Put that there. How about that there? Okay, and I thought I'd just give you some examples as to how you could possibly, I don't know, like take the first phrase that we generated a couple of days ago in Theory 4, and after you've got a basic harmonic progression of it, elaborated or not elaborated, but sketched out, and everything's in 4-part harmony, how you might go about making it a little bit more interesting. Okay, now what you've got here essentially is a 4-part SATB little thing it's harmonization of the basic harmonic sketch that we generated last lecture. Okay, now let's see what we can do to possibly spice this up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, first of all, let's have a here to the piece. Okay, so there's your first bit. It ends on a nice half cadence. Okay, so what are the kinds of things that we could do? Of course, one of the things that I would particularly like it, if you consider when doing this on your own, is the idea of non-chord tones. And where do you suppose there might be possibilities for some non-chord tones? Just take a look for a minute. Where would you possibly do something like that? Well, one of the things that you might think about doing is in here, in the alto and, the soprano and the tenor, you might think about some passing tones. For instance, make sure I'm on the right voice here. Let's see. So we want. Oh no, we don't want that. Hang on a second. Wrong layer. Sorry about that. Do something like that. Take that C and break that in like so. Right? Put a nice passing tone there. And then, well, what about this? And you could also do something like this. You could take that E and break that into half note into 2 quarter notes and make a passing tone kind of thing happening with that. Okay, so you get the idea. Okay, so that's something you might think about doing. All right, now what else could, and let's see if there are any other places where passing tones might work. Well, you might think, say in that G to C leap there in the bass. Couldn't you do something like this? And remember that you can have passing tones can fill in more than just a step. Maybe something like this. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, something like that. Something like that might be nice. All right. All right. Now, you could also do something else. Now, with that, maybe you could do something like this. Take that idea and maybe put that in a different voice somehow, so that it somehow is made more interesting, like that little dot-dee-da figure here. Well, couldn't we, and remember here, those two passing tones work because they're parallel, well, they're parallel tenths or parallel thirds, right, going on here. And so, well, couldn't you do something like that where you've got another set of parallel tenths? Maybe something like that would work in the tenor. Switch voices here. Okay, something like this. And make that like so. What's that sound like? Yeah, that might work. That might be kind of nice. Okay. All right. So the alto, the tenor, and the bass and the soprano have had a little bit of treatment added to them. What could we do? Do you suppose we could do with the alto, sort of in here? Maybe something like this would work. If we make this some kind of suspension, like in other words, from here to there. Maybe there's a suspension you could put in there. Make sure we got the right voice. Something like this. You want that. You want that. And something like putting this there. Something like that. Well, all right, let's do that again. Yeah, something that might be kind of nice. And wouldn't it be, maybe you could do something like this too. You could tie that, right? And then maybe give that a little bit of a different rhythm. Maybe something like this. This might be interesting. I'll give it something like this. Right? And oh, let's just see what let's see what happens if we do this. That we want. Something like that. Something like that, maybe a little syncopated rhythm in there somehow. Or you could do, or something like this maybe. Give out a little bit of a rhythmic thing, like so. Maybe that would work. And then, and just hold that like so. See what that sounds like. Well, something like that, maybe. Yeah, something like that might work. And maybe you could do something like this. Let's take this idea and maybe work with it with the tenor. Maybe we could do something like this. Oh, something like this. Give that sort of the same rhythm. Make that a D. And then make this a C, like so. Maybe like that. And then, you know, something like this. All right, what does that sound like? Yeah, that might work. That might work nicely. Okay. All right, now let's try something a little bit more fancy. Let's make this go up. Let's have the tenor and the alto maybe do something like that, and there'll be a little bit that now. This is a little weird. I know this is a little weird. Might look a little weird to you because what's going to happen? What will happen is the alto will be momentarily above, or excuse me, the alto will be momentarily below the tenor. But let's just see. Let's just imagine this is instead of Instead of something for voices, let's think of this as something for stringed instruments. As much as I hate to, well, you know, stringed instruments. What do you expect? All right. Here's this. What does this sound like? Yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting, but well, I'm not really that wild about it. So why don't we do something like this instead of that back where it was, and then we'll put the tenor back where it was. It's easier to do it this way. All right, something like that. Let's try, instead of that, let's try something in the bass. Maybe the bass might be interesting to do something like this. We could take that C, right, and maybe we could add a scale passage. Maybe that would work. See what happens. Yeah, something like that. And keep it on the beat. So you've got something like that happening. What's that sound like? Ah, now that's kind of nice. Yeah, that might work. Sure. And if that's going to happen, then maybe this isn't going to be. Maybe that won't be so bad. Let's do. Let's take that back. Try this. Do that same thing again, though. Put it. That might work. And then let's put the tenor back where we had it. Right, something like that. What's that sound like? Yeah, that might work. The one thing that I don't particularly care for is this octave. You notice this octave going on here. That's not necessarily the greatest idea. So maybe we could do something like this. Maybe we could take this D, and maybe move it down there. See what happens there. That sounds a little better, but maybe let's do something like this. Maybe, let's see, let's break this up and put this in the soprano. Let's do something with the soprano. Soprano hasn't had a whole lot to do yet. Maybe something like this. Break this up like so, and maybe, I don't know, maybe something like that. What's that sound like? Yeah, I'm not too fond, not too crazy about that. Let's just get rid of that. All right, we'll leave that there for now. It's just something like that. You could also maybe do something like this. This might work too. You could maybe move that D under there. What does that do? Imagine you're doing this for like a strings. Yeah, I think that works nicely. Yeah, okay. All right. Or if we wanted to, we could take this down and put this in the alto, or not the alto, but the tenor. Give this and like so. Okay. And then we'd need to move that up just a second. Let's just move this around a little bit. We want to, well, it'd be good if it was the right one. Something like this. Well, it's not quite what we had in mind. Here we go. Let's try that. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Okay. Now, if you want it, now that the soprano is a little stuck. Now, of course, if you want to hold that note here, that whole note G, something you could do here instead of, you could keep the same pitch, but you'd give a different rhythm. Well, like maybe something like that. So T ta ta T. So let's go ta T ta ta, something like that. All right. Why don't we take that little rhythmic mode of a quarter note, eighth note, 2/16 notes quarter, and do something like this with that G in the soprano. Something like this. All right. And then maybe, something like that, and then give yourself a quarter note just for fun. And then why don't we turn this thing backwards instead of T ta ta T ta ta? Why don't we go T T T T? Give it a T T T, something like this. Now, what's that do? What does that do? Yeah, that gives a little bit more interest. Okay, you could also do something like this. Maybe you could tie a few of those notes together and make it really syncopated. So let's tie that together. And let's tie this together. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, that sort of works. That's kind of nice. Right, you could do something like that. Right, and then, I don't know. All right, so the idea. All right, now let's see what else could we do here. What else is possible here? We had passing tones. Have we had, do we have any chances for neighbor tones? Yeah, here's a neighbor tone possibility. Something like this. You could do something like this in the alto. Here, just hang on. You take this and make that maybe some kind of neighbor tone type thing going on. So maybe something like this. Something like that. It's a nice neighbor tone there. The other chances for neighbor tones. Don't see anything right offhand, but you could do that. And then, I don't know, maybe something like this. I know what we could do. Here we go. Here's something we could do. We could take this. Just a second. I wish we could do that. Take that. Just a second. I need to put this into. There we go. It's going to just do that. I don't know why it does that, but it does. Maybe some sort of something like that. Give this a kind of suspension type thing. So something. So let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, that's not a great thing. That's not great, but yeah, we could do something like that, or we can just. Yeah, I don't particularly care for that neighbor tone motion. Let's try. Let's get rid of something. Get rid of that. I meant wrong. This. Turn that into what it used to be. Z. All right, just a second. Get rid of this. What voice is it in? Something like this, and then turn that back into a quarter note, just to But you could do something here. That would be kind of nice. Maybe something like this. You could have a suspension in the bass here. If you take this, that G, right, and use that as a suspension, maybe. Let's try something like that. Hang on a second. What we want is we want to break this into something like this. Yeah, something like that, and then, well, it's not what I had in mind, but something like that, maybe, you know, and you could do something like this with it as well. You could you could break this again into an eighth note. Let me get rid of this thing here. Break that into a break note, and then you could do, yeah, something like this. You know, something like that. So do you see here some ideas of thinking about how you take a basic harmony, and through rhythm and through such things as non-chord tones, you can make it a lot more interesting very, very, very quickly. All right, I hope that's helpful to you. And let me just hang on a second. Let me re-sign in here. There we go. And just try that a little bit. See what you think of it. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.